trim them.
I do.
Oh.
In a week, they're long again. Sometimes they get down in my eye. If you put that on a fucking YouTube, I'm gonna put being a nuts. I know I just made it to where he will, but
Yeah, that's totally going on the front of this. Anyway,
you first.
I'm James.
I'm Jeremy.
We're going to talk about some retro game stuff.
Not the way you might think.
Or maybe it is the way you might think. You'll see in a minute.
Weird thinkers.
So, I collect retro games. I love them. I that's just what I do.
I played
It's one of
retro
those things.
games when they were retro.
So did I.
I'm older than you by quite a bit.
Yeah, but I also played them when they were new. Granted, I started in the NES days. You started in the Atari days.
Before that.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But still, we grew up with it. So,
anyway, the idea was, there's a whole retro revolution coming up that's going on right now. It seems to be going kind of generationally. Yeah, that's the word. As well. So, Nintendo just released the NES bundle,
Classic Edition.
Right, and from what I'm reading right now, they're saying that they're going to do it with the SNES at the end of the year.
That is complete conjecture and a total rumor right now. There has been nothing official from Nintendo. But it wouldn't surprise us.
So, and Atari, I think, released a bunch on Steam a while back, and Sega did as well.
I know there's been packages of the old Atari games,
right?
But Sega did partner up with a company, and they have made a couple systems now that had 30 or 60 games on it.
Yeah,
I know one of them was 30. I think 30 actual games that were on the Genesis, and the other half were just bullshit.
Yeah, I think one of the ones I bought I think it was on Steam. It was a bunch of classic Sega games, as well as a few arcade versions of things and whatnot. But the thing is,
Atari has the flashbacks consoles, and I know there's a Coleco I think there's a Coleco that did the same thing.
I wonder if that's an Odyssey.
Doubt that.
Pickaxe Pete was great. Anyway, there's this whole retro revolution going on, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have any problem with somebody playing old school games, whether it's to relive their childhood or just to see how horrible the graphics were back then. I guess the question is it something that's really valuable, maybe, or is it something that I don't know. I don't know what I feel on it.
Here's what's going on. We have the people that are my age. I'm 35. We have real jobs now, and that means we have a little bit of extra money, and we can spend it on frivolous shit. And what better way to spend it on than video games that we had when we were kids? I was the dumbass that got rid of all my stuff to get a PlayStation. So, I had a lot of complete in box stuff, but all that shit ended up at EB Games, and I walked away with a PlayStation and 2 or 3 games, and I was happy. God, I was an idiot. But anyway.
Whereas I still have all my shit.
Yeah, and I'm kicking myself, and I'm going back through, and I'm collecting shit. Granted, I'm not getting everything complete in box, but if I see something at a garage sale or that I want, I'm going to pick it up. Here's the thing, though. It's become cost prohibitive for a lot of people, especially kids that want to get into playing these retro games, but don't necessarily want to go the route of ROMs and emulators. And I can kind of understand why they wouldn't want to. Granted, it's quick, simple, and easy.
On that, just real quick, emulators, I have a love-hate relationship with them. I really do. Because here's the thing. If you can get it legally, you probably should. Now, granted, the publisher's not going to make any money if you buy whatever game from eBay to get, fucking Mario Paint. I don't know, whatever. If you buy it on eBay, the publisher, the creator, none of those people getting money. It's just a dude selling on eBay that's getting the money. But when Nintendo puts out the little box thing, the classics, they're making money. And they're going to have to get that money to the people that created the games that are licensed on it, unless they own every game on it. It's just the way royalties work.
Yeah.
So, but if you do an emulator, then you're taking that money off of the table completely. However, emulators are great if there's no other way to get the game. I don't illegally stream anything unless it's something that I cannot find anywhere else. If I cannot get it through any legal means, then I'm going to find the things I want, which is especially for me, like some of the British comedies and some of the stuff like that. There's some things you just can't find. You're not going to find, old episodes of, Yes Minister or something like that on Hulu or Amazon.
Yeah.
So if you can't find it, not that I'm saying people should break the law, because you should not break the law unless the law sucks.
Wait, what was that? You mumbled something there.
I'm a mumbler. Anyway, it's that. It's if there's no other way, and I go through extreme measures to find some of the things I want to do like that. But if there's no other way, then fine. Go ahead and do an emulator. But if there's another way to do it, like for instance the
good old games, GOG,
or
there's
Nintendo,
the virtual
classic
console on. It will be on Switch, but Wii U, your various 3DS,
Xbox
2DS,
store, or whatever.
Xbox, yeah. If you can actually pay for it and throw the money at either at the license holders.
And most of these games aren't going to be expensive anyway. If you're playing a game that was made in '84, it's probably not going to be $30.
Yeah, I mean, especially with games that in the retro collecting community are ridiculously expensive. And it's not necessarily because of rarity. Like Earthbound. You can find Earthbound. It's not a rare game. But it's a popular game. And it sells for $150, $200 just for the cartridge.
Speaking of, there's a game we need to find.
What?
They made a game off of BC Comics.
BC's Quest. I've played it. I played it on Commodore 64. Yes.
Sorry.
No, that's...
I was just thinking, what game would I really want to play that you can't find right now? There you go. You're running around on a little stone tricycle or unicycle jumping shit.
Wasn't it an Infinite Runner?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, I think there was levels. I'm not sure.
No, there was levels, but yeah, it was side scroll. You jumped and dodged shit.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the little Google dinosaur game? Wherever, if you're not connected to the internet and you get the little dinosaur up, you hit the space bar in Chrome, you can play a little game. It was a lot like that, except it was BC on a stone unicycle jumping shit. It was... Damn, dude, I haven't thought about that since...
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like playing the old Asterix the Gaul video game.
Never played that.
Oh, that was fun. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sidetrack. Retro stuff. Here's another one. If you like old arcade games... And there's some really freaking good arcade games, but
there's some that help define a genre. I mean, that help define gaming, and and that's the thing too. Any of these retro games, there's a reason that you should play it, just so that you know where some of the things came from. For instance, shit, I don't forgot it. It's the audio cue that they use in movies. That's the laugh that's in all these movies. Or the scream. Wilhelm scream. There it is. Sorry. Wilhelm scream is in movies that started years and years ago, and you can hear it in everything. Star Wars did it, and you look up Wilhelm scream on IMDb, and you'll find thousands of movies that use it. So there's certain sound effects and things like that come from games way back in the way back. The Dig Dug theme, the Cubert jumping, stuff like that. if you go back and play these retro games, sometimes you'll find those things and go, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
And there's those layers to it that can add to your enjoyment of games even now. There's these layers that, you start to appreciate how games developed and how they went from this to that to that. And I've always been a big proponent of that. So, retro games, it's cool playing retro games. Sometimes they're better than modern games. Sometimes the game mechanics are better. Sometimes the stories are better. Sometimes they're not.
Yeah, and there's actually a lot of times that they're not. But with a lot of, especially with arcade games, it's just that a lot of shit that came out in the arcades never got a release on home consoles that were anywhere close to their original versions.
Joust, Sinister,
yeah.
Zaxxon.
Here's one for you. What was it? What the fuck? Ninja Baseball Batman. If you have never played Ninja Baseball Batman,
that sounds awesome.
I have got to. I will.
BC Ninja Baseball Batman.
It's.
I'm sure it's Batman, not Batman.
No, it is Batman, but it's. I've seen other people talk about it, and I've played it myself, and my God, that's just a fun beat 'em up. It came out in Japan, and only a handful of arcade machines ever made it over to the U.S. But you get to be a dude, a ninja, with a baseball bat. And there's a point where you're beating the shit out of an anthropomorphic airplane in a larger airplane. How could you not fucking love that? Go out, search through these, especially the main packs. Find the shit. Another expensive system to collect for is the TurboGrafx 16. There was some really good shoot 'em ups on there.
Didn't the Jaguar have a few that was pretty cool?
Tempest 2000.
Yeah,
That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
ColecoVision.
Never really sat down and played a ColecoVision.
That controller was awesome.
Which one was that?
That's sarcasm.
That
was a touchpad that was like that.
That had the number, the full number pad.
Yeah, it's horrible. With the speed.
But yeah, go out and find some of this old stuff. It is an expensive hobby. Essentially, what we're kind of seeing with it right now is that the retro game collecting started picking up around 2008, 2009 with the NES collectors. I mean, if you want to collect for Atari, that shit's going to be dirt cheap. You're not going to be paying any more than $2 to $5 a game. And this is kind of to Nintendo. When your consumers want something, make enough of them. And if you're not, tell us that on the front end.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been, and a lot of people would have not have been nearly as upset had you had said, we're making limited edition, we're making 3.5 million of these things, and we are putting them in stores. If you want it, come and get it, because they're not going to last. That's really all they needed to do. It's a great idea. It's a great idea for somebody that doesn't want to spend the $300 or $400 to get an NES and those same games and go through everything you have to get it set up and working and pray that there's no lag on a new TV and all that crap. And they just want to have their kids play Super Mario Brothers. This was a great way to do that.
Rock that turtle.
Do what?
Rock that turtle.
Rock the turtle. So yeah, and I'm hoping if they do actually do the SNES one, I want them to either tell us beforehand or make enough for everybody to get a hold of, at least one of these things that actually want it.
Yeah, and if any other companies start doing it, like the Sega or whatever, Genesis or the PS4 or PS1 or PS2 or whatever, then learn from those mistakes.
Yeah, I don't foresee anything like this going into the realm of PS1. Because PlayStation has the live thing now or whatever it is.
Yeah, but for someone like me who doesn't have a PlayStation,
and this is on PC, you can stream these old PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games to your PC or to your PlayStation 4. But it's whenever we go back to the cartridge-based stuff. Back in the day where the games weren't that big, you can fit 500 million of them on on a flash card or something. There's really no reason for these companies not to do it. And I know it's a pain in the ass with the licensing and all that. And we've gotten way off topic. I'm going to roll this back around.
Yeah,
if you're into the retro game thing,
do it.
do it. Go for it. Buy the games. Just be smart about it, and don't buy repros. That's my whole thing. I'm done.
Say it.
Comment, like, subscribe. We're signing out. I'm James.
I'm Jeremy.
Later.